So Jeff, welcome. It's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It's all right. Good morning. What a pleasure to be with you. I had to get my leather coat out this year to come to this place. I thought I was going to make it through the whole season. I missed the entire polar vortex. I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I thought I was going to make it through the entire season without my leather coat. And now I'm here. And it looks so white. I hope you're all staying warm. I hope you got something to eat. I hope you got something warm to drink. In fact, let's talk about hot drinks for a moment, why don't we? How many of you, out of interest, how many of you, by chance, is there anyone in this room who has been to a Starbucks in the last week? Stand up. Stand up if you've been to a Starbucks in the last week. All right. Now, stay standing, don't sit down. Stay standing and tell me if you have been to Starbucks more than once this last week. Remain standing. Wow. Starbucks has got a name, and it's called Brad. Let's see just how good he is. If you've been to Starbucks more than twice this week, remain standing. If you've been to Starbucks more than 3 times this week, remain. Okay, let's hear about it. Come here, Brad. Come up here for a moment. You already have reputation. Not to ignore the other 2 over here, but I have a feeling I'm going to better debrief this with this gentleman. And I sense that this is a habit of yours to go to Starbucks.
It is, yeah. I go quite a bit.
Yeah? Why do you go?
Caffeine.
Caffeine. I'll just give you a hint. I don't drink coffee. If I drank coffee, I'd be a whole lot worse than I am right now. And I'm pretty wired as an individual. But you know what? You could go to Dunkin' Donuts for your coffee, and you could have gone to some other places that would have been a little more affordable. Why do you go to Starbucks?
Well, I got a gift card.
Like for the entire year?
No. It was like $30, and they hooked me.
They hooked you. Oh, and you've been going since?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, all right, give it up for Brad. Good. When we're going to talk first of all about focusing on the experience. And when these mansions were being developed, back in the day, the servants would go into town and they would buy a pound of coffee beans for a few pennies. And then they would come back, and they would grind them and percolate and make coffee out of them. And it only cost a few pennies for a pound. And then somebody came along and thought, why don't we take those beans and grind them and put them into a tin? We'll seal it up. They eventually did something called freeze-dried. And we could sell for a few more pennies per can. And then somebody came along and said, well, why don't we just go ahead and make them a cup of coffee? And so the diner came around. And for a nickel for a cup, you'd get a cup of coffee to go with whatever you were eating. Now, that's a progression from a commodity to a product to a service. But Starbucks came along and they said, we could do this a little differently. Beyond just the aromatic Arabica beans or whatever they may be, we're going to create an experience. And now, for about $5.50, $6, you go and you buy your venti latte grande mocha supremo with a little bit of cream on top and a little swirl thing and ice and whatever. And people gladly do it. They line up. There are now Starbucks in the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World. It's gotten more popular than Cinderella. You know, there's a bigger line for Starbucks than there is for Cinderella right now at the Magic Kingdom at this very moment. Why? Because somebody decided to not just make it a service. They decided to make it an experience. What does that look like here at the Mansions? And by the way, I could be wrong. But one of the things you had mentioned earlier is that we've been saying in the programs, you never refer to someone who visits as a tourist. We don't at Disney. Never talk about them as a tourist, never as a customer. They are our guest. I would suggest I would never refer to any building I have seen in the last couple of days as a house. Maybe a home, but certainly a mansion. It is about the experience, and everything speaks. In showman terms, they used to say the show begins on the sidewalk. And that's why you saw those beautiful marquees lighting up the night air, kind of inviting you, beckoning you to come to the evening movie. Because the show begins on the sidewalk. For us, it begins in the parking lot. It begins online. It begins when we purchase that ticket. And it continues all the way through past the gift shop, past the restrooms, until they have left with their memories. It is about the experience. And people will hearken. They will embrace an experience.